Deep breaths. How many times in life do we take a deep breath before a major change? I've lost count. College. Oh, college. I, Lee Mina, a newly turned 18-year-old, with my heart fluttering like a trapped hummingbird, was there, at the door of a new world, and honestly, I just wanted to disappear. Have you ever felt that? That cold knot in your stomach that isn't from excitement, but from pure panic? Like all eyes are on you, judging you, even though no one even knows you? That's what my life has been like. A stage where I'm the only actress who's utterly embarrassed to be there. I've always been this way, timid, insecure, with an endless list of what-ifs running through my head. What if they don't like me? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I'm just not enough? The truth is, deep down, I'm an incurable romantic. I believe in soulmates, in glances that meet and worlds that change. But how do you find that when you can barely make eye contact with anyone? How do you find true love when your own voice seems to vanish into thin air? Entering Seoul University was a mix of dream and nightmare. A dream because it was where I'd always wanted to study, where Korea's brightest minds met. A nightmare because, well, because of me. I wasn't brilliant. I didn't feel that way. I saw myself as a dry leaf carried by the wind, aimless, without strength. The first few days were silent torture. Crowded classrooms, hallways filled with laughter and lively conversations, and me in my corner, head down, pretending to be absorbed in my books, but really, just wishing the floor would open up and swallow me whole. My friendships were limited to a few quick glances and forced smiles with my dorm mates, who seemed born for social life. They talked about parties, about the cute boys in engineering, about weekend plans, and me? I'd nod, mumble a, "That's nice," and retreat into my private world of Korean dramas and poetry books. It was safer there, more predictable. No one questioned me, no one expected me to be funny or interesting. I was about to give up, not on college itself, but on fitting in, on trying. Every day felt like a battle against my own mind, against that persistent voice that whispered, "You don't belong here, Mina. They don't like you. Why are you still trying?" I'd get back to my dorm room and throw myself on the bed, my eyes welling up, feeling the weight of loneliness tighten my chest. The city outside, pulsating with life and energy, seemed so distant, so unattainable. The glow of Seoul, which had always enchanted me in magazines, now seemed like a mirror, reflecting my own darkness. I wasn't in the mood to stay. I didn't have the strength to fight. My suitcase, which I had so carefully unpacked, seemed to call me back to my parents' house, to the safety of what I already knew. But deep down, a part of me still dreamed, a small, stubborn, and romantic part of me that refused to let the flame of hope go out, and that's when he appeared. The university library became my sanctuary. It was the only place where I felt a little less invisible, a little less out of place. Amidst the imposing bookshelves, the smell of old paper and dust hugged me, and the silence was a balm for my noisy soul of worries. I spent hours there, lost in books, or just observing people from a distance. I tried to guess their stories, their dreams, their secrets. It was a way of connecting with the world, even if silently and from afar. It was on one of those rainy autumn afternoons, with leaves falling outside and the wind gently howling, that I saw him for the first time. He was sitting at a table at the back of the library, near the window that overlooked the garden. His hair was dark brown, falling slightly over his forehead, and he wore thin-rimmed glasses that made him look even more focused. He had a stack of books next to him, and his long, elegant fingers ran through the pages with a delicacy that caught my attention. I watched him for a few minutes, discreetly, of course. My shyness didn't allow for a more direct gaze, but my eyes seemed to have a will of their own when it came to him. He seemed engrossed in his studies, and a slight smile played on his lips as he read something, as if sharing a secret with the book. That intrigued me. Who was he? What made him smile in that genuine way? My heart, which had been a bit dormant, gave a small leap, a discreet leap, just like me. I realized he frequented the library almost as much as I did. Our comings and goings started to cross paths. I'd see him in the cafeteria, on the patio, always with an air of someone who observed the world with a gentle curiosity. His name, I later found out, was Jun-ho. Such a common name, but in my thoughts, it gained a special glow. Jun-ho. I'd say it mentally, feeling the sound vibrate in a different way in my mouth. Despite noticing him, I didn't have the slightest courage to approach him. My heart would race just thinking about exchanging a few words. What if I stuttered? What if he noticed my nervousness and found it strange? I created entire dialogues in my head, rehearsed lines, but when the moment came, the words simply evaporated. My mind was a battlefield, where the desire to approach fought against the paralyzing fear of rejection. One day, I was in the literature section looking for a book for an assignment. I was so clumsy that, without meaning to, I bumped into a stack of books he was organizing. They fell with a dull thud, and my face instantly turned red. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I stammered, quickly bending down to help pick up the books. My hands were trembling a little. He knelt down with me, and our eyes met for a brief instant. His eyes were brown, warm, and gentle. A calm smile appeared on his lips. "It's okay," he said, and his voice was soft, like a melody. "It happens." He didn't laugh at me. He didn't look at me with reproach. He just smiled. And in that moment, something inside me, something that was curled up and afraid, began to expand. Maybe, just maybe, the world wasn't so scary after all. That small incident in the library was the beginning, not of an overwhelming romance, but of something much more subtle, much more like me. After that day, Jun-ho started to greet me with a slight nod of his head when we'd see each other in the library, and I, with a lump in my throat and my heart beating irregularly, would respond with a shy, almost imperceptible smile. It was progress. For me, it was a gigantic leap. We started sharing the same table from time to time. I always waited for him to sit down first, or for him to come in my direction. The boldness of taking the initiative still seemed like an insurmountable mountain. He, in turn, seemed to have infinite patience. He never rushed me, never pressured me. He just existed there, beside me, reading his books and taking his notes, and his presence alone was an inexplicable comfort. One day, he asked me about the book I was reading. It was an old novel about a forbidden love in times of war. "You like sad stories?" he asked, with a slight twinkle in his eyes. I hesitated, my thoughts tripping over each other. "No, I mean, yes, it's just, they seem more real, you know, more profound." He smiled. "I understand. The beauty is in the melancholy sometimes." And in that moment, I felt a connection. He didn't judge me. He understood me. Our conversations began that way, in small fragments, like flower petals falling one by one. We talked about the books we read, about our professors, about the weather. Small topics, but for me, they were golden threads weaving a bridge between us. I'd catch myself smiling alone while walking through the hallways, remembering some phrase he said, some look he gave me, but insecurity, oh my old companion, never left me completely. Even as the conversations became more frequent, a voice in my head whispered, "He's just being nice, Mina. He pities you. You're not interesting enough for someone like him." I'd watch the way he interacted with other people, with ease, with open smiles, with a sparkle in his eyes that seemed to always be there. And I'd compare myself, and I'd diminish myself. One afternoon, as we were leaving the library together, he mentioned he had a group project, and one of the members was sick. "I'm worried. It's a lot to do alone," he commented, looking at the ground. My heart raced. It was my chance to be useful, to show that I wasn't just the shy, quiet girl. I can help," I dared to say, my voice almost a whisper. "If you need someone to do research or organize ideas, I'm good at that." He looked at me, surprised, and then a wide smile broke across his face. "Really, Mina? That would be amazing. You'd be saving my life." That smile, the way he said my name, it sounded like music to my ears. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could be important to someone, that maybe, just maybe, I had something to offer. And that feeling, oh, that feeling was a balm for my soul. The group project became our excuse. Our conversations in the library turned into joint study sessions that stretched for hours. I discovered that Jun-ho was a well of knowledge, and not just about college subjects. He talked about history, about art, about the stars, and every word that came from his lips fascinated me. He had a passion for learning that I had never seen in anyone, and that passion was contagious. We met at charming cafes near the university, with the smell of fresh coffee and soft music in the background. I felt more at ease in these environments than in the campus bustle. There, I could relax a little more, and my shyness showed small signs of a truce. I started sharing more about myself, about my dreams of traveling the world, about my passion for writing secret poems that I kept in a diary. He listened carefully, his eyes fixed on me, and I felt that, for the first time, someone was truly hearing me. One day, while we were discussing the influence of classical literature on modern culture, Jun-ho suddenly stopped and looked at me intently. "Mina," he said, his voice more serious than usual, "you have a unique way of seeing the world. It's as if you see the most vibrant colors and the most subtle details that most people ignore." My cheeks instantly flushed. Compliments were rare in my life, and compliments from him were like sunbeams after a long storm. I don't know," I murmured, looking away. "I just observe." He smiled gently. "And that's your strength? Never let anyone tell you otherwise." His words were a balm for my insecure soul. They resonated in me for days, echoing in every thought, in every doubt. Did he really see something special in me? Was I not as invisible as I thought? Our conversations deepened. We talked about our fears, about our hopes for the future. I revealed to him how out of place I felt at college, how the idea of giving up haunted me. He listened with infinite patience, without interrupting me, without judging me. And when I finished, with tears in my eyes, he reached out and touched my hand, a gesture so light, but one that made my heart race. Mina, he said, his voice soft and firm, you are strong, stronger than you know, and you have a place here, a place that only you can fill. In that moment, I felt a spark. It wasn't just attraction, it wasn't just admiration, it was something deeper, more like a soul recognition. It was as if he saw the true Mina behind my layers of shyness and insecurity. And the most surprising thing is that, by seeing myself through his eyes, I started to see myself in a different way too. Less flawed, more worthy. The autumn leaves turned into snowflakes, and the soul winter brought with it a new layer of closeness between us. We had developed a routine of meeting after classes, whether to have hot tea at a cafe or just to walk around campus while the city lights began to shine. Our hands, once so hesitant, now touched more frequently, small brushes that sent electric shocks through my entire body. I felt like I was living a romance from a book, one of those I read secretly in my room. But at the same time, reality was much more vivid, much more exciting. Every day, a new discovery about Jun-ho, a new detail that made me like him even more. He was so thoughtful, so kind, so present. He noticed the little things, when I was tired, when I was worried about a test, when I smiled for real, and those small gestures, to me, meant the world. But despite everything, the old question still haunted me. Did he really like me? Or was he just an angel, an amazing human being who was kind to everyone? My insecurity was a stubborn parasite, clinging to my thoughts and refusing to leave me in peace. I looked for signs, searched in his eyes, in his words, for some confirmation of what my heart so desperately wanted. But I was afraid to ask. I was afraid of ruining the magic that was building between us. I was afraid that the answer wouldn't be the one I wanted. The university's winter festival was approaching, an annual event that filled the campus with lights, music, and joy. All the students were excited, planning to go with their friends or boyfriends and girlfriends. And me? I felt like an observer, once again, of other people's lives. Jun-ho mentioned the festival a few times, but never made a direct invitation. I waited, longed for, every one of his words, every one of his glances, searching for a sign. But it didn't come, and the voice of insecurity returned to whisper, "See, Mina? He doesn't see you that way. You're just a friend, a study partner." During the week of the festival, I felt especially down. My roommates talked animatedly about their plans, and I just smiled weakly, feigning interest. I felt a tightness in my chest, a deep sadness that seemed to have no end. I was in the library, trying to focus on my studies, but my eyes were fixed on the lights that were starting to decorate the campus outside. The festival seemed like a cruel reminder of my loneliness. Jun-ho arrived and sat next to me, as usual. I tried to hide my sadness, but he seemed to notice everything. "Mina, are you okay?" he asked, his voice full of concern. I shook my head. "Yes, I'm fine, just a little tired." He didn't seem convinced. He placed his hand on mine, which was resting on the table. His touch was so soft, yet so electric. "You can't fool me," he said with a sad smile. "I know you a little, Mina, and I know when something is bothering you." My eyes filled with tears, and I looked away, embarrassed. "It's silly," I mumbled. "It's just the festival. Everyone has someone, and my voice trailed off. He squeezed my hand gently. "And what about you, Mina? Don't you have someone?" I looked up and met his gaze, my teary eyes meeting his. In that moment, I felt that my vulnerability was exposed, but strangely, I didn't mind. His presence was a safe harbor. "I thought that maybe you didn't want to go with me," I confessed, my voice choked. "I always think people are just being nice to me out of pity or politeness. I'm afraid of being too much." He shook his head, and the smile vanished from his lips, replaced by a serious, gentle expression. "Mina, don't say that. You're never too much. And I did want to invite you to the festival. I was just waiting for the right moment." My heart leaped. He wanted to invite me. He held my hand more firmly and looked deeply into my eyes. "I wanted to invite you because I like being with you, Mina. I like our conversations. I like the way you see the world. And I like you." The last words were a whisper, but they echoed in every cell of my body. "I like you." Those words, which I had dreamed so much of hearing, were now real. They floated in the air between us, laden with emotion. My tears, once from sadness, were now from pure joy and relief. I couldn't speak, just nodded my head, with a smile that spread across my face. He leaned in a little closer and wiped a tear from my cheek with his thumb. "So will you go to the festival with me, Limina?" I nodded my head again, and for the first time in a long time, I felt that my voice didn't matter. What mattered was my heart, which was screaming yes with every beat. That invitation, those words from Jun-ho, completely transformed my perspective. It was as if a veil had been lifted from my eyes, and the world, once gray and dull, now shone with new colors. My insecurity, which had always been a constant shadow, seemed to have diminished. not disappeared completely, but retreated to a more distant corner of my mind. I felt light, floating on a cloud of pure happiness. That night, as I got ready for the festival, I no longer felt like the shy and embarrassed Mina. I felt like the Mina who was seen, who was cherished, who was important to someone. I chose a warm coat and a colorful scarf that Jun-ho had complimented once. I made a point of styling my hair and putting on a little makeup, something I rarely did. I wanted to look pretty for him. I wanted to feel pretty for myself. When he knocked on the dorm door, my heart raced again. But this time, it was a good kind of nervousness, of anticipation. He was waiting in the hallway, with a smile that lit up his entire face. He wore a wool beanie and a dark coat, and his eyes shone with a mixture of affection and excitement. "You look beautiful, Mina," he said, and my cheeks flushed. But this time, I managed to hold his gaze. We walked together to the center of campus, which was already transformed into a sea of twinkling lights. Food stalls gave off delicious smells of tteokbokki and odeng, soft music filled the air, and people laughed and chatted animatedly. Hand in hand with Jun-ho, I no longer felt like a stranger. I felt like I was a part of it all. He took me to try various dishes, and we laughed while trying to eat fish skewers without getting messy. We told funny stories from our childhoods, and he showed me pictures of when he was little, a cute boy with the same gentle eyes. It was easy to be with him, so natural, so light. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the need to hide, to protect myself. I could be myself, with all my peculiarities and insecurities, and he accepted me completely. As we walked near the frozen lake, he stopped and looked at me again with that gaze that disarmed me. "Mina," he said, his voice a little deeper, "I wanted to tell you something." He seemed a little hesitant, which was rare for him. "I know you're shy, and that you have some insecurities, but that's what makes you so special to me. Your sensitivity, your way of observing the world, your sweetness. All of that is what enchanted me about you." He took a step forward, closing the distance between us. The light from the festival decorations reflected in his eyes, making them sparkle. "I really like you, Mina, and I wanted to know if you'd like to try something more serious with me, a relationship. I know it's early, but I feel like we have something special." My hands were sweating, and my heart felt like it wanted to jump out of my chest. I stared at him, and a huge smile broke across my face. "Yes, Jun-ho," I said, my voice a little choked with emotion. "Yes, I want to. I really like you too." And in that moment, in the cold Seoul winter with the lights shining all around us, he leaned in and gave me a soft kiss on the lips. A kiss that was the beginning of everything. A kiss that sealed the promise of a new chapter in my life. I was no longer the girl who wanted to give up. I was the girl who was starting to live. Our first few months as a couple were like a fairy tale, but a real one, with its own challenges and lessons. The newness of having someone look at me with so much affection and admiration was intoxicating. I felt like I was floating, and every little gesture from Jun-ho, a note left in my backpack, a flower found on my library table, an unexpected hug, made me smile for hours. But insecurity, that old acquaintance, still tried to interfere. Sometimes I'd catch myself thinking, does he really love me? What if he gets tired of me? What if he realizes that I'm not as interesting as he thinks I am? I watched the ease with which he interacted with other people, the way he was naturally charismatic, and I compared myself. The voice in my head still whispered, trying to make me doubt. One afternoon, while we were at our favorite cafe, I was especially quiet. He noticed, of course. Jun-ho always noticed. "Mina, you're a million miles away. What are you thinking about?" he asked, holding my hand across the table. I hesitated, looking at the coffee cooling in the cup. "It's silly," I began, but he interrupted me. "To me, nothing you feel is silly." I took a deep breath, deciding to be honest. I'm sometimes afraid, Jun-ho, afraid that you'll get tired of me, that you'll realize I'm not as outgoing as other girls. I'm afraid I'm not enough." The words came out in a rush, and I felt an immediate relief from having opened up. He looked at me with a tenderness that made my heart ache. "Mina," he said, his voice gentle, "you don't have to be outgoing to be enough. You are more than enough. Your calm, your depth, the way you feel things, that's what I love about you. I'm not looking for someone to fill a void, Mina. I'm looking for someone to share life with, and that person is you." His words were like a hug for my soul. He saw the real me, not just the image I thought I should project. He loved Mina, the true Mina, with all her frailties and qualities. That day, I felt that a barrier inside me broke. Believing in his love for me became easier. Believing in my own worth became more real. Our college life continued, but now, with Jun-ho by my side, everything felt lighter, more colorful. We studied together, went to university events, and even tests seemed less intimidating. I felt more comfortable participating in classes, giving my opinions, expressing myself. His presence gave me a courage I never knew I had. He introduced me to his friends, and although I was still shy at first, Jun-ho's patience and affection helped me feel accepted. I discovered that I didn't have to be the life of the party to be a part of it. I could be myself, and people liked my calm, my careful observation. For the first time, I started making real friends, people who saw me and valued me. Jun-ho became my safe harbor, my confidant, my best friend, and my great love. He taught me that love isn't about perfection, but about acceptance. It's not about erasing who you are, but about highlighting the best in you. And that sometimes the biggest changes happen when you least expect them, and with the people you least expect. I never imagined that my salvation would come in the form of a boy with glasses who smiled at books in the library. But life, oh life, has its own plans. Spring arrived, bringing with it the blossoming of cherry trees and the rebirth of the campus. And with it, new discoveries about us and our relationship. Jun-ho had a secret hobby. He loved photography. He showed me his old camera, a relic he treasured, and the photos he took. Urban landscapes, details of flowers, and to my surprise, many photos of me. He had photographed me in moments of distraction, reading in the library, smiling as we drank coffee, walking in the rain. He captured the Mina I didn't even know existed, the Mina he saw. That moved me deeply. Through his lens, I started to see myself in a kinder, more loving way. His photos were like a mirror that reflected the beauty I couldn't see in myself, and that helped me overcome my low self-esteem even more. He taught me to appreciate the beauty in details, in simplicity, in authenticity. We started exploring Seoul together, something I would never have done alone. He took me to old neighborhoods, to vibrant street markets, to hidden parks that seemed straight out of a movie. With him, every street corner of the city turned into an adventure. Every moment became a precious memory. I felt more alive than ever, with my heart open to experiences, to people, to life. One afternoon, as we walked through Gyeongbokgung Palace, with the ancient gates and majestic gardens all around us, Jun-ho suddenly stopped and looked at me. "Mina," he said. I was thinking about something. He seemed a little hesitant, which was rare for him. "I know you like to write, and I thought we could create something together. I love your poems and my photos. We could create a special journal just for us, filled with your words and my images." The idea enchanted me. It was a way for us to combine our passions, to create something together, to express our way of seeing the world in a way that was uniquely ours. I felt like a partner, an equal. He didn't want to protect me. He wanted to push me, to make me grow. In that moment, I realized that true love isn't just about romance, about kisses and hugs. It's about partnership, about mutual support, about building a future together. It's about a look that tells you, "I believe in you." And Jun-ho looked at me that way. Our relationship deepened in every conversation, in every laugh, in every shared silence. It wasn't an impulsive love, but a love that was built every day, brick by brick, on the solid foundation of friendship and admiration. He taught me to trust, to open up, to allow myself to be loved. And I, in turn, learned to return that love with the same intensity, with the same devotion. College, which once seemed like such an inhospitable place, was now the setting for my love story. The classrooms, the library, the hallways, everything took on a new meaning. I was no longer alone. I had Jun-ho, and with him, the promise of a future full of possibilities. The doubts and fears didn't disappear completely, but now I had a hand to hold, a voice to reassure me, a love to give me strength. As the months passed, our routine became a synchronized ballet of studying, cafe dates, and spending time together. I found I was more capable than I ever thought possible. However, university life, like life in general, is not always a bed of roses. There were moments of stress, of pressure, of difficult tests that seemed to consume all our energy. Sometimes I'd find myself returning to my old patterns of insecurity, especially when facing academic challenges. The inner voice would come back to whisper, "You won't make it, Mina. You're not smart enough." Jun-ho was always my refuge. He noticed my anxiety, my sleepless nights, my tendency to isolate myself when things got difficult. He wouldn't let me sink. Once, before an important calculus test, a subject I'd always struggled with, I was in a panic. My hands were trembling and I could barely breathe. He came to me in the library, bringing hot tea and some sweets. Sat down beside me, not to force me to study, but to just be there. "Mina," he said, his voice a soothing whisper, "Look at me." I lifted my head, my eyes full of tears. "I won't make it, Jun-ho. I can't understand this subject." He smiled gently. "Yes, you can. You're much more capable than you think. And even if you don't get the perfect grade, that doesn't define who you are. What matters is your effort, your dedication, and I know how hard you work." He hugged me, a tight hug that seemed to heal all my wounds. In that moment, I felt that I didn't need to be perfect to be loved. I just needed to be myself. His support gave me the strength I needed to face the test. I didn't ace it, but I passed. And for me, that was a victory that I shared with him. He didn't just believe in me, he helped me believe in myself. We started planning our future, the dreams we wanted to achieve together. We talked about traveling, maybe living together after graduation, With every conversation, I felt that our love was an anchor, keeping me steady amidst the uncertainties of life. I realized that true love isn't just about the happy romantic moments. It's also about the challenges overcome together, about the strength one finds in the other, about the ability to be vulnerable and yet feel safe. Jun-ho taught me that to love is to grow, it's to evolve, it's to allow yourself to be the best version of yourself, with someone by your side who supports you every step of the way. I, Lee Mina, the girl who once wanted to give up on everything, now saw myself with a bright future ahead, next to the man who showed me the true meaning of love. College, which was once a dark labyrinth, was now an illuminated path. And all this because of an unexpected encounter in the library, because of a gentle smile and a soul that saw the real me. A year had passed since the winter festival, a year of laughter, of learning, of challenges overcome, and of a love that blossomed every day. There were still moments when my shyness and insecurity showed up, of course. They were a part of me, and I learned to live with them, to acknowledge them without letting them take over. Jun-ho helped me understand that these characteristics weren't flaws, but just aspects of my personality, and that they also made me unique. He loved me for who I was, completely. One day, while we walked across campus, with the autumn leaves again falling around us, Jun-ho suddenly stopped. He looked at me with a different sparkle in his eyes, a mixture of nervousness and anticipation that I already knew well. My heart began to beat faster, anticipating what was to come. "Mina," he began, his voice a little choked. He took a small box out of his coat pocket. It was a wooden box, simple and elegant. I knew what it was. My eyes filled with tears even before he finished the sentence. "I know we're still young, and we have a lot ahead of us, but I can't imagine my life without you. You showed me a new world. You taught me to love for real, to believe in myself, and I want to spend the rest of my life by your side." He opened the box, revealing a delicate ring with a small stone that seemed to reflect the sunlight. "Lee Mina, will you be my partner, my friend, my love forever? Will you marry me?" The words were like a song I had waited my whole life to hear. I couldn't speak, just nodded my head, tears streaming down my face, a huge smile on my lips. "Yes, Jun-ho," I finally managed to say, my voice almost a whisper. "Yes, I will." He placed the ring on my finger and our eyes met. A long, passionate kiss sealed our promise. Right there, in the middle of the campus that was the stage of our first meeting. It was a magical moment, a climax that seemed to have come straight out of one of my favorite romance novels. But it was real. It was my story. I, the shy, insecure girl who wanted to give up on everything, was right there, engaged to the man who taught me to love. The news of our engagement spread quickly across the university, and we received many compliments and congratulations. My parents, at first surprised by the speed, were emotional and happy to see the transformation in me. They saw the Mina who blossomed, who became confident, who found her way. And Jun-ho, with his gentle and respectful manner, won their hearts. Our wedding day was magical. The sun shone gently, and a light breeze rustled the leaves on the trees. I was wearing a modern and elegant hanbok, and my heart was overflowing with joy. I walked down the aisle where Jun-ho was waiting for me, with a smile that lit up his entire face. His eyes, oh, those eyes that enchanted me from day one, were filled with love and emotion. Our vows were sincere, full of promises of love, respect, and companionship. I promised to love him in all phases of life, to support him in his dreams, to be his best friend and his confidant. And he promised me the same, with words that made me cry with emotion. I exchanged my engagement ring for a simple wedding band, which symbolized our eternal commitment. The kiss that sealed our union was the most significant of all. It was no longer a kiss of discovery or of promise. It was a kiss of certainty, of fulfillment, of a love that had matured and become unshakable. There, under the soul sky, with the people we loved watching us, I became Mrs. Kim, and I had never felt so complete, so happy, so much myself. The years that followed our wedding were filled with a happiness I never thought possible. We graduated from college and built a life together, filled with books and laughter. The old insecurities still appeared from time to time, like shadows, but I had the wisdom and strength to deal with them. I knew that Jun-ho's love was real, that my worth didn't depend on others' opinions, and that I was capable of overcoming any obstacle. He taught me to be kind to myself, to embrace my vulnerabilities, and to see the beauty in my own authenticity. We had our share of difficult times, like every couple, but we learned to talk, to listen, to forgive. We learned that love isn't just about the good feelings, but about the daily choice to love, to care, to dedicate oneself to the other, and that in the midst of storms, each other's presence was our safe harbor, our calm. Love, I learned, is not a destination, but a journey of learning, of growth, of giving, and of acceptance. It's about finding someone who sees you completely, who loves you completely, and who helps you love yourself too. It's about building a life together, brick by brick, with the solid foundation of trust and respect. And to you who are listening to my story, to you who may be going through moments of doubt, of loneliness, of insecurity, I want to say, don't give up. Don't give up on love. Don't give up on yourselves. True love may be waiting for you in an unexpected place, at a time you least expect. And when it arrives, embrace it with all your soul, with all your heart, because it's capable of transforming your life in a way you never imagined. I am living proof of that, and I am eternally grateful to have found mine.